It's just waiting me out. Just waiting me out. What's up, guys? What's up? How are you? Steve's hiding in the shadows over there.
Finishing my dinner.
Oh, yeah. Got to get that in. But what's up, everybody? It's officially Sunday. It is the 3rd of May. So in 2 days, it will be the 5th of May, a.k.a. Cinco de Mayo, for some of you guys that want to keep up with that. So here we are, almost halfway done with 2026. And, yeah, a lot of work going on here. So what about you guys?
And also, in a week, it's Mother's Day.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
You remember Cinco de Mayo, but you forget Mother's Day?
It's just because it's the 5th of May.
Wow.
I mean, it's literally just because it's the 5th of May. It just sticks. I was trying to keep it a secret. But, yeah, a lot of work going on. Been busy. It has been so busy here. I don't know. I mean, I'm thankful because it has been money that I didn't really count on having. But, man, I have had, like, orders and requests and things just coming in, like, way more than usual. But luckily, you know, they're paying jobs, most of them. So it's worked out. But, yeah, so I've been in here just grinding for the past, I don't know, several weeks now. And I still got stove covers I got to get done this coming up week because I've just been pushing them to the back. So there we go. What you got going on over there, Steve? I saw you finally got to get outside, and there wasn't any snow on the ground. Of course, there weren't any leaves on the trees either. I was a little concerned that you were in Chernobyl or somewhere, but there was green grass, so that was promising.
Yeah, there is, but there's also a freeze warning this week, so you know.
You just need to get a U-Haul and just throw your stuff in it and head south. I mean, that is ridiculous. I got a jalapeno pepper out there that is about 4 inches long. I'm just waiting on it to like quit growing so that I can harvest that and have the first jalapeno of the season. And I've got tomatoes already. They're green, but I've got tomatoes.
Yeah, no, I think it topped out at 70 today, and if I could find somewhere that this was the complete, like, year-round temperature was like 50s to 70s, I'd be happy there. So no, I'm not going south where it's going to get any warmer. If anything, I'm heading north.
That's terrible. That is terrible. Oh.
Tony, tomorrow is Star Wars Day, unless you're in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did get outside. So I took Friday off from my day job to get some things done. We have part of our utility bill stuff that we pay the city goes towards an annual cleanup where you can bring not everything. You can't bring hazardous materials. You can't bring like large bulky things like mattresses and such, but you can bring electronics and metal, general household things, small appliances and such, and you get them, recycled or taken care of for free. And over the years, I've used that less and less. It used to be, between my home and my rentals and everything else, I'd load up a truck and a trailer and sometimes go back for round two. But I did have some older TVs, monitors, microwaves, some computer stuff, a lot of electronic stuff to get rid of, and some miscellaneous metal things. And so I wanted to make sure I got all that and didn't sit there all day. So, but I got up and it was really nice out. It was sunny. It was calm. It was warm enough. I thought, hey, I need to get back into my walking. So we have a park close to us. It's actually about 150 acre kind of woodland area. And so went for a walk and took the camera with and kind of talked about the trails in the park and whatnot, and put that out on my other channel there, Vintari Outdoors. And so getting some content out there. And more planned that way. Actually, today I did take a break. I've been working on the Laser Pecker LX2. I did a live stream on that earlier this week, kind of just doing some initial testing, and maybe talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But I was doing more of that today, but again, pretty nice day. So I got out for about an hour on the bike, and we'll see if any good footage came out of that. But yeah, have another work trip coming up to north central Minnesota in 3 weeks. No, it's the end of the month. It's right after Memorial Day. And I'm hoping, if for nothing else, I'm hoping to get out to Itasca State Park, which is the headwaters of the Mississippi River. And for a lot of you who are used to the Mississippi, even in central Minnesota on down south, you'll be amazed at how much it looks like a creek when it begins. So we're going to have some fun with the other channel, but yeah, the big thing this week has been testing out the Laser Pecker LX2, and they did it's a interchangeable module laser, and they did send the 20 watt, the 40 watt, and then the 2 watt IR. So I kind of feel it's kind of like doing almost 3 reviews, testing the different.
They got you on that one.
So been working with that one, and been putting some teasers out on my Facebook page of some of the results. Let me see here. Maybe I can. So just for example, this was a cut test. So the 20 watt and then moving into the 40 watt, and it's the same settings. So you kind of see, I was a little surprised. It's almost linear. It drops down about maybe 10% less. And this is where it's like, you're not going to just double everything. You're going to get a little bit less there. But yeah, doing that, doing some engrave tests, doing some testing with the IR and such. And one interesting thing that I like is, you know, one of the complaints people had about the X-Tool S1 is the positioning system. You know, it's got the crosshairs and then, you know, the push button, which is great when you get used to it. But they were like, oh, we need to have a camera. We need to have a camera. Well, this one has both.
That's cool.
And
so it's a lot like the Alien Cell feel as far as.
I mean, it's like an X-Tool S1 with a camera.
Which to me, that's what the Alien Cell is very similar.
I would put that in a different class. I think just from, you know, some of the movements, and it's got dual cameras and other things.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about those particular 2 features. It has a crosshair and it has a camera.
Yeah, I mean, okay. But yeah, the using the pointer and the, you know, the point calibration is far more accurate than the camera.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, for everybody saying the X-Tool S1 needs a camera, sure, it would be nice and it can be useful, but for precise positioning, no.
Yeah, the crosshair aiming with the S1 was always like dead on. And from my experience so far, the same thing with the Alien Cell. I've been using it this week to break down some more recycled cardboard, because you know I've got it set up to where I can just put the material in and hit the button. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't, you know, they had talked to me about sending me one, but I didn't hear from them after we got back from CES. So I never got anything back on it. But yeah, it looks like a very interesting setup with just a little bit of the technology to make it convenient, but not too much to make it crazy.
Yeah,
because it didn't seem like it had as much emphasis on being a smart machine as it did just the basic tools. I'm sure they have the AI on the back end with their
software. I mean, it's got, you know, so they have a Laser Pecker Design Studio, LDS, and they have a beta version for this one. So it's not the same one that you use with like their Galvo style lasers. It has a lot of it feels like early X-Tool Creative Space. And there are definitely some things that I'd like to see that it doesn't have. There's some adjustments that, like in the cut test, I don't know if you can see this, but on the 40 watt, you can actually read the text. On the 20 watt, it's very, very faint. So you can't. I haven't found a way to adjust that, and
So
so
it's
that's
basically just doing like a percentage of the power.
yeah.
output or
I'm
whatever,
guessing
and
they
it's
put in like
pick.
25% for the text or something like that. You can't adjust that on some of them. I straight up couldn't see it on some materials. They don't, as far as I know, I haven't found that they have a kerf offset. And I did do some testing between the two there. A little more sneak preview here. So here's all my math and my test. So what I do is I cut out 4 squares. These are 25 millimeter squares. And then I measure the size of the inside cut and the outside cut. Then you need to subtract one from the other, divide it by 2, and that should be your beam width. Then your kerf offset would be another divide by 2. I have a whole video trying to explain that.
And people still don't get it.
so what I found is that the 20 watt, now on this material, it'll vary a little bit, based on the burn and the thickness and everything like this. So on 3 millimeter Baltic birch, the 20 watt beam is roughly 0.1975 millimeter, and the 40 watt beam is 0.25 millimeter. So you're getting about a 21% increase on your beam size with the 40 watt over the 20 watt. So, and then somewhere around here, I have an Engrave test where, I was trying to find the ideal settings to kind of compare and contrast. But the 40 watt just, it's more aggressive, and it's you have to lower things down. And anytime you lower down your power percentage, now you have a smaller percentage of the overall power of the diode to get your gradient in your contrast, as opposed to maybe 100% power on the 20 watt. I'm using like 40% power on the 40 watt. And so you just don't get as much detail coming through. Plus with the beam size, you might have to increase your line width or have some overlap. So that being said, you can still get decent enough engraves with the higher wattage, and chances are the customer isn't going to notice.
Yes, I say most of the time between a 20 and a 40, it's not terribly noticeable. So yeah, you start getting up into the 70s, it gets more noticeable.
So here's the 20 watt module.
Yeah.
Here's the 40 watt module.
Yeah.
And so
a little more gradient on the 20, possibly.
Yeah, and
but there again, I mean, I guess if you just wanted to play whack-a-mole, you could find a point to where they would be really similar. But
yeah, you could speed this up and lower the power, adjust that. You probably get it close, but so there is a difference.
Yeah. But
that's some of the stuff I'm trying to do with my testing.
That's always been the thing, though, is you need to consider how important is that difference before you decide on a 20 or a 40. Well, I mean, what are your goals? Which is more important? More detail on sharp images, or the ability to cut faster? Because that's why I like having multiple machines. You have one for extreme detail and one for heavy cutting.
Yep.
But with that machine, you said it's a 20, 40, and a 60, right?
Yeah, there's even a 60 watt.
Technically, just have the two. You could buy the one machine with the 2 modules and have both.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing would be is there a reason for the 40 watt? I mean, if they have a 60 watt that's available, obviously the 20 watt would be that you want to cut it down, you want to have better detail. The 40 watt definitely cuts better, as we can see from my cut test. Not quite doubling the speed of your cuts. And there's probably going to be some thickness as far as it can maybe cut some slightly thicker material. But if you have a 60 watt available to you, I haven't looked at what the cost of the modules are to see, is there a reason why someone might want to go with the 40 watt over the 60? And maybe it's price, maybe it's something else. Because if you're going for raw cutting power, throw the power at it, get that 60 watt module. If you want the detail, heck, find a 6 watt module for engraving. But yeah, it's that'll be the interesting thing.
Slap it under your galvo.
Yeah. But then they also do have the IR. It's a 2 watt. At those powers and speeds, you're not going to be doing anything big unless you've got all day. I mean, even some of the smaller things. I was testing some slate coasters, and to really get the detail out of them, if you're wanting to do a photo on a slate coaster, it's going to be 15 to 20 minutes. Just because of the spot size is so small, and it has to go slower for the power. So Yeah, that you can add it, but again, I'd want to look at the cost of the IR module compared to maybe getting the LP4 or getting another Galvos type IR fiber type laser, where I think you're going to have more speed. You know, if you're
Yeah,
wanting the size of this one, I just feel like you're asking to be there all day and overnight.
yeah, it's a lot of thought has to go into what you plan on doing with the machine, any machine,
Yeah.
when you're getting into it. I did drop a link earlier for Steve's other channel, Ventari Outdoors. If y'all want to go check that out, he could use all the subscribers he could get. He's not leaning heavy into it right now, but I know from starting my second channel that it's different. Once you get an established channel, it's different when you're starting another one. And so, the struggle is real. Feel free to go over and check that out and help him out. And you can go check mine out too if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate people jumping over there and joining in. It is going to be a little more of my fun channel, doing things outside the shop with a heavy emphasis on me getting outdoors. So, if you want to follow along more with what I do, there'll be some, like I bought an e-bike this year to get back into biking. Between being lazy and being a little overweight, and I also injured my knee playing softball back in the day, and I'm starting to notice that more as I get older. This allows me to get out and enjoy biking longer and without hurting myself or without getting straining that knee as much. So there'll be some about that and maybe some review stuff around that, maybe some tinkering with that because I like to tinker with technology. So yeah, would love to see people over there, but it won't be anything regular. It'll be kind of random. I mean, there might be weeks where I put 2 or 3 things out. There might be weeks where nothing comes out. So,
yeah. Well, this is an interesting question, and I think we can all relate to this one. Kevin's saying that just signed the contract to reno the house. Says I'm building a 20 by 22 shop. If there's one thing you wish you've done when you're building your shop, what would that have been? I'll tell you 2 of the biggest things, which my shop was not like, I didn't build my shop. This was literally a pole barn that I boxed in, and then I went back and I kind of did mine backwards because I insulated it after, like I had been doing stuff out here for years and had closed it in and all that, and I put insulation in it. It was one of the last things I did to my structure was put insulation in. But the one thing I will tell you is if you're going to build a shop and you plan on spending a lot of time out there, and Steve did a good job on is make sure while you're building it, before you get all your stuff in there and you get it to working, just go ahead and insulate it. Even if you're not putting the AC or heat or anything in there, the insulation will pay off because if you do work in there in the winter, I don't work according to wherever you live, you can heat it with a much smaller heater. You may not even have to heat it. I mean, there are so many advantages to having it insulated properly from the start that will pay off long term. And then I think my second thing would be however many wall plugs that you think you need, double that. Like if you think you need 10, go ahead and add 20. I mean, that's the one big thing that I keep having to grow my electrical output here to the point to where I'm maxed out breaker wise. I can't add any more breakers to my box. So what were your 2? What would your things be, Steve? I know you've probably got at least 1 or 2.
Well, I mean, you hit the couple, the big ones that I would say is definitely look at insulating, think about insulation as you're building it. But, first and foremost, before you get insulation in there, definitely think about the electrical, think about where you're going to need separate circuits. Because I have a lot of electrical along the side walls, but this was intended to be a garage where we would park cars. So at the time I was like, I don't really need a lot of power along the walls because cars are going to be there.
Yeah, 2 15-amp circuits ought to do it.
No, it's one between both
sides. My God.
It's a 20 amp circuit with 6 outlets. And then I have 3 circuits available on the wall that I figured was going to be my workbench space. And I currently have like 2 machines up there, like, and like some of those are like sanders and such. So that's part of what I'm going to be moving stuff around in here is I'm trying to move my CNC to that corner where I actually have access to more of them. But outside of that, then, you know, thinking about the type of work you're going to be doing, maybe also think then about how you're finishing the walls. So and some of this is going to be building code. Here I had to drywall at least one of the walls because of the proximity of the property line. So I'm like, well, I'm going to drywall the whole thing. Well, ideally, honestly, I think plywood walls would make more sense for
for a
mounting
shop
things.
environment.
Yeah. I mean, it's more durable, and it's easier to mount things on and such. So,
or at least like some OSB or
yeah. It doesn't need to be like, you know, cabinet grade, you know, stuff, but just something that it's going to take a little more abuse, and it would be easier to mount things to. But then on the flip side too, think about your exterior walls, because if you're wanting to add in exhaust ports, if you're going to be adding a mini split or things like that, your exterior finish, you know, if you have like aluminum or vinyl siding, it's a lot harder to you know, drill through and mount things to and modify than if it was like a hard type of siding. So other than that, I mean, yeah, you know, just think about how you're going to get in and out of the shop. Make sure you have, you know, appropriate doors, but not too much. I mean, windows are nice, but they also take up space of where things can go on the wall. Overhead doors are nice, but they also take up space both, you know, where the door is and possibly overhead, unless you have a roll-up door, all these other things.
Well, my barrel door is great, but that's the one thing I will say. I put a 16-foot barrel door in here when I built the place because at the time that was literally just a door that I opened up and basically made this an open air shop, and then I would close it to keep, you know, animals and people out. Hindsight, my heating and cooling would be a lot more efficient if I didn't have this big 16-foot by 9-foot opening that's nothing but a piece of sheet metal.
Right.
It's a barrel door, so I can't really put insulation on the back of it because it won't fit back up in the barrel when it rolls up. So I'm kind of stuck on that. The only thing that I have thought about is trying to engineer myself like a blanket, like a really heavy quilt with magnets in it so that I could just like stick it to it in the wintertime or the summertime. Yeah. That's the only thing I've came up with to be able to do it. So, but I do like having the roll-up door for moving these big tables that I've constructed. So I would definitely say, regardless of what you're doing with your shop, go ahead and put in like an 8-foot garage door, roll-up door, something, because there are going to be things, big toolboxes and stuff like that, that's a lot easier if you can just roll it through a roll-up door. But I wouldn't go too crazy with the roll-up door.
The other thing I'm glad I did, and part of this was because a friend of mine wanted to help me build my shop because he was thinking about renovating his garage or rebuilding it. So he kind of wanted to practice, see how it went with mine. But he was a low voltage contractor. And so he was able to bring me, he had some leftover Cat 6 cable, like in-ground rated shielded Cat 6 cable. And so I ran that along with when I ran the electrical service from my house to the sub panel out here. I ran 2 Cat 6 cables as well, which I'm glad I did. I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't have him basically giving me that cable. But think about, you know, not just your electrical, but, you know, if you're out there, you probably want to have internet and data and such. So
yeah, I've got 2 direct burial Cat 6s ran from here to the house. One of them is in use. The other one is just a spare. That way, if there's ever damage or a problem with one of them, instead of having to dig the yard up and redo it, I can just literally plug in the other one and use it. So that was, I bought a whole spool of the stuff when I did it. So I was like, you know what? I've got the ditch witch. I've got the hole. It's just as easy to throw 2 pieces of cable in there as it is one, because I was burying the 2 cables and the water line at the time. And so I put them all 3 in the ground, and I've just got the 1 cat cable is just terminated and rolled up and zip tied, and it's just sitting there. just in case I ever do need it for anything, which so far I haven't had to have it.
Well, since he provided the cable, I ran conduit, PVC conduit the whole way for separate ones for electrical. I mean, it's deep enough I wouldn't have had to because you have to get it down so far. And then I still put the tape in, the warning tape above it and such. But yeah, but I also dug the trench by hand with my dad. I had a friend who's an electrician who he's like, yeah, I'll bring the trencher over someday. But it was week after week was going by. And I'm like, my dad happened to come up and he's like, well, let's go buy a shovel.
Yeah.
So we got
I did
trenching shovel to do that.
I didn't do the conduit. I did the direct burial, but like I said, it's in there with a piece of water pipe also. And I rented the ditch witch, and where I'm at, other than the gravel and the sand, that's really all you got. And so it's about 18 inches deep. So it shouldn't have any problems unless they're really digging a hole. And hopefully, hopefully it won't happen. I know where the line is, and I guess if you had a really good metal detector, you could probably find it because it is copper cable, but it's deep. 18 inches is a long way to be trying to locate it. I didn't put anything in there with it.
I tell you, putting a ground rod in a glacial river valley that's filled with a mixture of limestone and granite.
You got to have a hammer drill.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. Got a celebrity in the house. Hobo with wood says, good evening, everybody. I go over there and like watch a lot of his stuff. Sometime I'll just sit and casually eavesdrop. Look at there. Look what the cat drug in. Eric.
Yeah. Everybody's stopping by tonight.
Once again, blessed us with his presence. I wonder what country he's in tonight.
Yeah. And then it was in Kilroy's stream earlier, and Jack was using the wrong tool to shave today. So oh my God. That thing, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know everybody says that a table saw is the most dangerous tool in your shop. I don't think that's the case. I think table saws get a bad rap because more people have table saws than have joiners. The sheer way that a joiner works terrifies me because you're having to push the wood like down and toward the cutter blade. And I use push sticks. Like I look like Edward Scissorhands with my push sticks because I'm paranoid of that joiner. That thing scares me, dude. Cause it just looks like a meat grater. Like it looks like something that you would see at a butcher's shop or something. And so I'll be having some push sticks and push blocks and these are what I use with my jointer. And I've got the helical head with the carbide inserts on that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch that. I would say, I don't know. I mean, those I have a very healthy respect for the jointer, but router tables too.
They'll sneak up on you.
Those can be, I mean, because there's sometimes operations where there's only so many ways you can use these and other things, and you kind of have to get your hands somewhat close, and then you definitely have to be keeping in mind the rotation of the bit and the direction you're feeding it, because otherwise you're going to make that thing like yeah. So yeah, power tools definitely something to respect and think through. I mean, yeah, I've had some close calls. I mean, I even have this. I've got the saw stop. It's not going to protect you from everything. You can still do stupid things on there and have kickback.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've got to where, and nobody's called me out on it yet in any of the videos that I did, but I've got to where, especially like my little job site, because it's so small and the way it's positioned, I stand to the side.
Oh yeah,
I'll stand to the side. I'll have the fence, like I'll be like standing to where the fence is between me and the blade, and I'll just like and run it from this side. That way, if it launches it, it's just gonna pitch it over and hit my CNC or something. It's not gonna hit me. Because I've had that small piece of wood come back and just like center your forehead. And when I was a kid, I think I was probably 13 or 14, maybe. Me and Billy were riding motorcycles because Billy was there when it happened. We were doing like a boxcar build, and I nipped my finger on it doing stupid stuff with a table saw, and it keeked. And when it did, it just for just a split second, my finger went between the wood and the blade, and it took that fingernail right there off and like filleted the end of my finger. But luckily, I was able to like get it to go back together. Now it's still like a weird sensation in that, like the nerve didn't quite do what it was supposed to do, but I did get to keep the end of my finger, and my fingernail finally grew back. But yeah, that situation there that day, like I'm scared to death of a table saw. But my old man always told me the best thing you can have is a healthy fear of tools to keep you from putting your fingers where they don't need to be. So I mean, I guess he was right on that, because and knock on wood.
and I've especially working with hardwoods that maybe are rough sawn, or they may or may not be kiln dried. You don't know the stresses that are on that wood, and then it gets released as you're cutting it. Yeah. If a cut feels wrong, stop.
Yeah, you start feeling that extra friction on that blade as it's going through, like the wood's growing as it goes past the guard. Yeah, I've had that, because a lot of the wood that comes off my sawmill, like you're talking about, that tree was like, especially trees that were like bent their entire life, and then you mill them, there's tension in that wood, and as you cut it, that tension starts to come out, and it'll bind in that table saw, and it'll turn into a rocket. Like it's bad. Like I said, I don't have the big fancy saw stop, but the flying debris, all of them can do that.
Yeah. Yep.
So what else we got? Oh, Kevin's saying, what are you printing? Well, it depends. I'm printing replacement, re-upping my Bigfoot orders over there. And I'm printing some lens covers over here. Hang on, I'll show you what it looks like. I got a video that'll be out tomorrow, but right behind me here is these. These are this is the F1, F2 lens cover. These are red. The ones I use are orange, but printing these in red. I've got some different PETGs now, and so that's what these are. I've got 3 of them, and this is the tag, but that is the actual lens. And I'm doing something different, because with these, when I'm printing them, like you can see where the supports contact material right there. This has been a pain to get those supports out of there, because like I've done some before to where it just like pops loose and looks like a hockey puck, and it's great. But here lately, these do not want to come out. Like I have to fight with these to get these out from in here. So currently I'm running this one using Bamboo Labs PETG PLA support material, but I'm only doing that material in where the transition area is between the support and the object to see, I know it's going to add some to the print time, but to see if it makes it to where it pops out easier, because it seems like PLA was a lot easier to pop the supports out than what I'm having with this PETG that I'm using. So hopefully this fixes the problem. So that's what it's doing now. It's finishing up. It'll be through here in just a minute, but it's printing, because it's got to print the top, and then it's got the little eyelet that goes into the ring right there. It's got to be printed. So, yep, but that's it.
Going back to the shop talk thing, Mark was recommending taking pictures of the framing and such after electrical goes in and such. And that's a really good idea. I actually was taking pictures of daily progress through the build and then kind of major steps. And so it is kind of, I mean, A, it's kind of fun to go back and look at it, but B, yeah, you can kind of go, oh yeah, there is, this is where the wiring's at. This is where any critical hidden stuff is. So yeah, that's a really good idea if you're building or remodeling. I even do it at work when they come in and we have a major remodel. I'll go in and take photos of where, things are in the walls that are going to get hidden. So
yeah, it'll never fail. You need to drop that 4-inch hole through the wall for an exhaust or something, and you're like, I hope there's no cables there. Which technically, if you do it by code, isn't the wiring supposed to be at like 30 something inches from the baseboard or from the floor?
Yeah.
Except where it goes up, and then you're only supposed to do that in certain places.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's 32.
Nothing in here is up like necessarily done by code because I just throwed it in the best way I could. But
yeah. Yeah, I did all my electrical in here, and so yeah, you're right. It needs to be, your cross runs are going to be about. I put all mine at, I think, like 3 feet plus. I mean, partially it's easier for me to do it that height.
Yeah, you're not on your knees all day.
But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, if you're not aware of any of that stuff, make sure you follow up on it or just hire it out. So
yeah. Yes, Kevin, I got both of them going. I've had both of them going a lot lately. That's why the A1 is out here now, is because I had a little spell there for a little while where I was having failed prints, but it was in the house and I was out here. And so I would go in for lunch and find a plate of spaghetti where my print was supposed to be. And so I brought it out here and like, I updated firmware, rollback firmware, re-updated firmware, tore the machine apart, lubricated it, adjusted everything, done everything I needed to do to it. And I had it sitting here running, and it's been doing such a good job that I haven't moved it. I like it being out here because I can kind of keep an eye on it during the day. And of course, any kind of overnight printing that I do in the P2S because it, like the error detection on it is top notch. Like I'm not going to say it's 100%. Sometimes it may go like 5 minutes longer than it needed to, but it'll catch it and be like, hey, it'll send you a message and be like, hey, something's not right with your print. Do you want me to pause, stop, or whatever? And then you just click the button. And so I love that for overnight printing. I don't do overnight printing with the A1 anymore because it's just, you can't depend on the error detection on the A1 as much. It does work occasionally, but it doesn't work as well as the P2. So like the 5-hour prints that I do overnight, I do them on the P2. So I've been printing big feet today.
Perimeter alert, driveway.
So Rob Wilson's asking, he picked up a used CR10 3D printer, having problems with the nozzle clogging. I'm completely new to 3D printing. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Well, used equipment, you never know. You never know what maintenance has been done, how, any mods or whatnot. So, in this case, the first thing I might look at, is it the filament? Do you need to dry it? Is there issues with it? But if a lot of times when you're having repetitive nozzle clogging and it is still feeding, but it's not like backing up, it can be that there could have been some weird filament run through there, and now there might be some abrasions in it that's causing other filament to get caught. It could be a bad thermistor or something it's randomly heating and cooling. I would play with your heat settings a little bit, see if you could get it cleaned out, see if it starts running smoothly. Otherwise, usually the nozzles are not that expensive. I don't have a CR10 to know, but sometimes just putting a brand new one in and eliminating that as being the issue is a good first step to eliminating that problem. Is just, let's start with something clean and fresh factory. We know it hasn't had weird stuff run through it, and go from there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, especially if you're new to it, because you're not even at the point that I am, which I consider myself to still be a noob at it. But I mean, I'm doing better, but I don't do a lot of tweaking with the machines because that's why I like Bamboo, is I don't have to tweak with them as much. I would definitely say if the part's not all that expensive, I wouldn't throw the other one away until I did some testing with it to confirm that was the issue. But I think that would probably be step one, would be make sure my firmware and software are like the way they're supposed to be. Like you said, check the filament, make sure the filament is dried to a good point, because if the filament's not dried, what ends up happening is as the filament is going through the nozzle and it's getting heated up, any moisture inside that filament is turned to steam. And steam expands at, oh my gosh, what is the number? Anyway, it expands a lot. So like it may take up only like, 1/10 of a millimeter cubed as a liquid, but when it turns to steam, it like expands drastically. So what you'll hear a lot of times if you're sitting there close to the printer while it's printing is you'll actually hear like little pops, like little explosions almost. And what that is that's those little steam bubbles popping as it comes out of the nozzle, and that will cause like little mist spots or splatters in your engrave. So watch for that. But I'm like Steve, I'd probably go ahead and invest in a nozzle just to make sure. Just swap them out. Keep the other one until you determine whether it was bad or not. Swap them out. Do some testing. If that fixes it, great. Throw the other one away. If that doesn't fix it, now you have a spare. So that would be my approach. Because like you said, if somebody didn't know, or maybe they did know, just didn't care, and they're printing like carbon fiber or even the wood PLA through it, and they didn't have a hardened nozzle, it's probably eroded to the point to where it just can't. The factory settings aren't working. You're gonna have to calibrate it, and calibrating it when you've never done 3D printing is probably not something you want to do. Calibrating the flow and all the extrusion, I wouldn't. I would just go ahead and spend the money on a nozzle. But yeah, it's fun until you have to start working on the things. That's when it's not fun to me no more. So, but I've heard a lot of people like the CR10. I mean, I had an Ender 3 when I first started. So we'll see. Rob Wilson said, wow, you guys are popular. Lots of heavy YouTube hitters here tonight. Yeah, we appreciate their support.
Yeah, well, it's also, I try to hop on others when possible and participate and send some love their way too. So always appreciate anybody stopping by and hanging out and throwing in some comments.
Yeah, sometimes, like I said, a lot of times actually, I will be in the comment in the live listening, but I'm usually listening on my headphones while I'm doing something else, and so I don't always comment because I hate when I jump in, because a lot of times I'll jump in, make a quick comment, and then I'll walk over here and be working on something, and people are like trying to talk to me in the comments, and I don't want people thinking I'm rude, but I just walked away, because I'm listening, not necessarily sitting here staring at the screen, because I'm usually moving.
David Pingle's asking, my computer drives my laser. My question is, can I use the same computer to develop something else while watching it cut? It's going to depend on your computer, but for the most part, yes. It doesn't, at the point that you're sending the job, it's not taking a lot of computing power, and depending on the laser, a lot of times it will actually stream the file to the laser before it even starts. So you might not necessarily have to worry about it staying live and connected, although it's good. But again, I mean, depending on the computer you're using and the other programs you're using, you're adding to the resources, and if anything causes anything to crash, you could run into some issues there. But generally speaking, no, you should be fine. I mean, I have just a small out here. I just have a small mini computer that is running the streaming stuff, and I'll be demoing the laser, and I've got multiple web cameras, running at the time. And so you're generally not talking about a lot of computing power in these, unless you're, doing some 3D animation rendering or something.
Carrie says, a celebrity. I thought you were talking about me. Mercy. Trying to find some more comments. I'm scrolling.
Jared Lyons asking, Clark, how's the laser Eufy combo items going? Any cool ideas on the horizon? I'm sending you a knife I experimented with this weekend.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have been combining like all the tools. But before we get off on it, everybody's asking me about my printers and how I'm running them. This is a new product for you guys that have an F1 or an F2, but like say you have an old school RA2 and you want to use it and you want it jigged instead of just setting it with the little base under it. I designed, built, constructed, printed, tested this little guy. And I've got 5 of them printed, and I'm gonna put them on Etsy, and we'll see how it goes. But I had a request. Actually, I've had several requests, but when I got the last request to construct one of my wooden ones and mail it to somebody, I was like, I need to just go ahead and make a 3D printable one. That way I can print these and send them to you guys. And it looks a little cleaner and nicer. So, but yeah, I got this. I've been printing these. You saw the lens covers. I've been printing those today. And of course, these guys keep selling. So I keep making more. But yeah, let me grab some of my other products that I've come up with using the laser / UV. Oh, this is what this does too, by the way, guys. And it's I'm calling it the slider because it does afford you the opportunity to slide this in and out. Like, you got to get a good grip on it, but you can slide this in and out if you want. And like, as long as you don't go back too far, it gives you a good range of motion. So yeah, that's coming. Videos on the way. So without showing you all of the things that I've come up with, I had an order. This was a prototype, but these are ball bag tags for baseball teams. Apparently there's a lot of baseball teams, like kids baseball teams, that are going to the playoffs around here. This was a prototype, just a mock-up, just testing the theory. Let me grab the box. Hang on. Woo-hoo-hoo. What I did with this one, and I kept it just because I thought it was kind of cool. This is actually clear acrylic, and I cut it with the P2, the X-Tool P2, and I designed the file and printed it with the Eufy using white base coat. Well, the only thing I didn't like about this is with the Eufy, you know, a lot of people have been talking about how the ink is expensive. The ink is expensive, and they're not wrong. But the way that you maximize your profits is minimize your expenses. And so what I wound up doing is I took some 1/4-inch acrylic and cut it, and I did just the color, just the CY whatever, just the color, no white backfill, and I created these. So that eliminated any white. There was no white ink used in printing this. So the white ink gets saved for jobs that I have to have white ink. But when I'm the one designing the project, designing the job, I can design around the white ink and just do my design as a transparent PNG. And the only thing that prints is the color, which drastically increases the efficiency. And I think there's 12 of these in here. I have created a jig system for the machine, which works like a champ. So what I ended up doing was I created this. This is a 3D printed part. I printed it in 2 pieces and glued it together. This sits on top of the mini bed, and then this one, because of its shape and the size, is 75mm circles. So I can do these little 75mm tags, but I can also do my Christmas ornaments and stuff in it. And the way that my little plate works is this sits on top of the mini bed. And then these are 2 pieces of 1/8-inch plywood, and they just sit like in here like that. They snap in these little brackets, these little 3D printed L brackets right there. They snap in there, and I have different ones. Yeah. Whew, I should have just brought a big box. So another product that I come up with, and I made these for we got our local government, the city of Clanton folks are going out to Vegas to some kind of like economic development type summit or whatever. And so they had some name tags and stuff, but they were basic. So I made them some new ones and sent to them. But in the process, I got to thinking about the fact that when I go to events, I wear my trademark stuff, but it's not the same. So I've developed this. This is a 3D print / UV printer project that I come up with. And the 3D print part is the fact that this name tag is made from white PET G. And you can see there's a recess right there where the magnet actually sets down in a recess so that when you put the magnet back to it, it just sticks to it. So if I want to put my name tag on, literally, I just put it on like that. And so I also created these, which are kind of like concert passes, press passes. If you go to an event, like somebody's having an event, a lot of times they'll hand these out, and people like to keep these as kind of like souvenirs of the event or whatever. And so I created these also for different reasons. This one has a QR code as well as my logos, and basically you scan that, it takes you to my website. And then of course I ordered some little orange bands for them. So these are nice little, when you go somewhere, you got all your information. They can scan you, all that good stuff. So, but I did create jig panels for those, as well as I've already had to do a batch of name tags also. So this is my name tag. This fits the name tag blanks here. Ooh, just dropped that down my pants. These fit in here. And so I've made several. Let me get that magnet for it falls. So I made several more little jig panels. We got some bottle openers, Eufy project. So, and then I've been busy. I've been very busy. I've been learning new things and creating new stuff. And guys, I don't know how many of y'all know this, but for me, I have about as much fun coming up with these ideas of how to accomplish things as I do actually making it. So that's kind of the fun part for me. But yeah, so there's another video coming, but I gotta get my head above water. I got busy too. And I did I can't show you guys the one that I made because they haven't done the banquet yet. But I did do like a 16-inch one of these that had actually the pictures of the kids and all that kind of stuff on there. That was a CNC / Eufy make project because I used a piece of 1/2-inch birch that I cut with CNC and did a round over on it. And then I painted it white with spray paint and then printed it with the Eufy. So that turned out really well. And I'll share it with you guys as soon as I can. But yeah, all kinds of other little cool things, Clack Shack orange Christmas tree ornaments. I got a little Rudolph Christmas tree ornament. These are also 3D printed blanks. So I'm doing a lot of my own 3D printed blank stuff. And some of you guys may or may not recognize what these are, but these are 3D printed, UV printed also. And so, yeah. So I also have a STL 3D print file for these now. So, yeah. All kinds of stuff. Like I've been using like the Eufy make to print on laser projects, 3D printed projects, CNC projects. Like I've been using it with all of the different tools. So fun. But there's plenty of videos going to be coming. I got another video on the Eufy and some of the stuff that I've done with it. I've learned some things. I gotta get better at pacing my stuff because I'll run that thing hard for like 8 hours and then it may be 3 days before I run it again. So, which is good, I guess, but we'll see how long the cleaning solution lasts. But so far, so good. I haven't had any problems with it. I had 1 or 2 times where when I first got it, where my color seemed to be a little bit off, but I think that was some settings that I had messed with that I shouldn't have. I think I got that worked out. But that's about it, guys. Greg Wilson says suggestions on how to increase the infill strength on the 3D prints. You want to tackle that one? Because you've got a more variety experience with different machines. What do you think?
I mean, if the question is how to do it, your slicer will allow you to adjust the percentage, and it'll also do different patterns as to when you should do it or how much. Depends on what kind of strength you're looking for. In some cases, just actually increasing your wall thickness will actually increase the strength without having to infill quite as much. And in other cases, just doing a different orientation so that your layers, it's kind of like grain of wood. You want your orientation of the print to be oriented in a way that the layers work in your advantage and not a disadvantage. So, but depending on the slicer you're using, take a look at the different patterns that they have. In some cases, I've had it to where I need to switch to one that has less overlaps because of a picky filament and my laziness in calibrating it. As Ryan's saying there, gyroid's a great infill for a balance between strength and filament used, but it's kind of it's kind of dependent on each piece, and it's one of those things. I think the more you play with more structural things and I can identify, okay, this is an area where I need to change the orientation. So it might mean that you have to break up your print into multiple pieces and figure out a way to join them, to maybe just adding a wall thickness on certain layers or the whole thing. I am by no means an expert on it, but those are the things that you got to, start looking at and playing around with.
Yeah. Yeah, like on a lot of stuff too, like you said, if I do change the infill, a lot of times I'll only go up like 10%, but I'll add a couple of laps to the walls to try to stiffen it up a little bit. Because you would be surprised that going from like, I think, what is it, standards, like 15% infill to 25% infill, it makes a big difference. Like it will strengthen them more than what you would think. And I wouldn't put, too much emphasis on it. I mean, you could make them solid, I guess, but you're still, if your layer adhesion between layers is not 100% on, that's going to be the weak point of your design. So that would be my thing, is make sure you don't have any like dried, the filament don't need to be dried or something, because a lot of times too, if the filament gets to where it just doesn't seem like it's sticking together like it should, like your layer adhesion, that I have found can be traced back to your filament dryness a lot of times too, because you got that steam coming out with the filament and it doesn't stick. And so you start seeing a lot of stringy, that looks like just little strings on your print instead of a nice smooth surface. Because I like having like this smooth surface like this. If I start seeing like really thick lines in there where it's not like bleeding together, it's not sticking together real well, I freak out. Because I've had some to where the layer lines were just really noticeable. But I've got to where I just panic dry, because that fixes my problem normally. Like I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I got these, and it dries it and fixes it. But yeah. But I've gotten to where I'm using bags now. I've got a rhythm with my dryer. So that would be my thing. If you don't have a dryer, get you a dryer. If you're not printing like a lot, like if you're not using up your filament in a couple of weeks, then I'll probably invest in a dryer.
Dark Force Maid's asking, will your slider work with the RA2 accessory conversion?
This one doesn't. This one's made for the OG RA2. I've got it in my head how I can take some of the things that I used with this and modify it. If enough people ask for it, I could do that. This one's just been like, this has been a requested thing for a while. I've sold over 200 copies of the file for the wooden cut one, but I'm constantly getting people asking me, hey, look, I really like the wooden cut design, but could you like make one and send it to me? And I don't like making and sending the wood cut ones. It's just like, if I'm going to send it to you and make it, I'd rather do 3D printed now that I can. And this one has the little hooks that go over the base that keeps it from jumping up, whereas the wood one that I designed didn't. So this is actually better. So, but we'll see. But I do have the ideas of how to go about taking this design and modifying it for the accessory kit, but I haven't done that yet.
John Marksbury is asking, what are your thoughts on the Snapmaker U1? So that's one of the first multi-head, multi-color units that came out. I believe Mark Patterson's got one on the Kickstarter and has really been enjoying it. I haven't, other than watching videos and seeing stuff, I have no personal experience with them. But what I've seen is they're working very well. They're kind of a good balance of quality and cost. And they've kind of led the pack as far as getting out that multi-head. Now, there are others out there. The Flash Forge Creator 5 is coming out. I know Prusa has something in the works. I don't remember if it's been released yet. Bamboo has at least dual head. So you'll definitely start seeing more of them out there. But reliability and whatnot, that really you can only see over time. And so Snapmaker's kind of got the jump on that, showing that their printers, from what I have read and heard, have been pretty reliable for people. If you're doing the multicolor prints, the print in place multicolor prints, it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of filament. And that's where I feel the biggest use is, or, the people that are using the different filaments for support material type things, that, that's where it's also going to save you time and filament as well. So if you're just doing straight prints, I don't see that it's a big gain over a typical, multi-filament system. But yeah, when you want to have those faster changes with less purging and less time in between them, that's where you're really going to benefit from that.
Greg was asking, said, Kevin, I see it in Bamboo, not sure what to change, and I would do just increase the amount. When you go in Bamboo Slicer over here to strength, the wall loops, this is the big one. I think this was probably the first thing that you need to address. Like Steve said, this makes a lot more difference than you would think. So you can do like 2, or you can change it up to 4. I don't think I've ever really went over 4, because if I go over 4, I'll start changing the feel. But down here, your sparse infill, typically you're going to be set at default like 15%. There are some presets in here for like strength. Like if you go to 0.20 strength on the A1, like these presets are pretty stout. I mean, pretty cool. So you saw what it was here. Right here is showing 2 wall loops, and we're showing 15% on the infill. So if I go up here to this preset and I change this one to strength, we'll see what all it changes. You'll see here now it's got 6 wall loops, and it changed it to 25% infill. So if you're using Bamboo, these presets are pretty on point. So you don't have to know what every single setting does. Just go in here to the presets. If you want like really fine detail or whatever, make sure you've got your nozzle. Your nozzle is set to the proper nozzle. This one's got an 04 on it right now. But then when you go in here, it's going to show you options for your layer height and everything that you can pick from. The 0.2 is generally what I'm going to run. I'll just either do like a regular or the regular or the standard or the strength. That's it. That's about all I use. I don't usually worry about, like, I'm not doing like artsy stuff, so I don't usually worry about the appearance. Like I don't use the extra fine detail and stuff like that. Most of the stuff I'm doing is functional parts, and so I really don't care if it's, I might add fuzzy skin or something like that to it, but I'm not trying to make it look any better than what these look. I mean, I think the appearance on this is pretty dang good, in my opinion, for what it is. It's a part. It's not it's not made for appearances. It's made for functionality. Now, I will tell you too, sometimes the layers, like Steve was talking about, it's kind of like wood grain. If your pressures are going to be like, if this was printed standing, it would make it weaker to break this way as opposed to this way. So you have to sometimes, depending on how it's printed, because your wood grain is going this way. If you print flat, if you print it like this, your wood grain is going to go that way. So you can kind of dictate how the pressure is going to be distributed based on how you stand it up in the slicer also.
Tony's asking, have either of you guys messed with Linux, and will any machines work on it? If you're talking about lasers, Lightburn did have a distro up till I think version 1.7 something, but they stopped Linux support after that. You may still be able to work it possibly by loading an emulator, or even I believe Wine lets you run certain Windows applications within Linux without a full-on, like VM type box. But it's still a little dependent on how the application works. Assigning COM ports, I'd have to look at that. It may or may not work very well. But I haven't run any of my machines on it. It's something, if I had time, I've thought about just playing around with, just for curiosity's sake. But yeah, it tends to be the forgotten child out there. It's hard enough in some cases getting Mac OS compatibility with certain machines. But Linux definitely is kind of very much an afterthought for most of the manufacturers right now.
Yeah. Linux would be, I mean, whether or not you could get it to work or not is going to probably depend on your knowledge of Linux at the end of the day, because the driver, the driver support and stuff is going to be definitely going to be different. For simplicity, I go with Windows, because that's just like all these machines tend to prefer Windows.
Yeah, and the more industrial the machine, the more likely, or the less likely, it's going to have Mac support. I see a lot of people who want to run that, or even worse, people who say, well, I only have an iPad or an iPhone, and they're wanting to run, their equipment. While there are often apps out there for it, they tend to be very limiting. And so kind of is the case there. You may want to look at investing in at least an inexpensive computer to run something. So
yeah, and I like getting those little mini Dells. That's what I've got over there. That's what I've got in the house. I've been getting them for like $120 to $150 off of Amazon refurbs, and they work great. Like, they're awesome, and they're tiny, so you can like mount them under a shelf. They're quiet. They don't take up a lot of power. I mean, and it's just, I'm loving them. So, Gerald Grady's saying, when do you know when to use supports in Bamboo Slicer, and if you can get away with no supports? Sometimes you can get away with supports when it might not necessarily. I'm all about, like, I want it neat and form fitting. I don't want, like, now sometimes you can't help it, but like, I'm particular about where my supports end up contacting my item, because I want to hide the support contacts as best I can. But
well, when you run the slicer and you do the slicing command, you can check the preview, and generally, especially Bamboo is going to say, hey, here are some areas of concern.
yeah,
and they tend to highlight it. That sometimes can just be based off of their known kind of limits as far as degrees and spacing. The other thing you can do is you can actually, there are some test files out there that will test overhang degrees of, and distances, that you can run some of those to kind of better know at what point will the printer stop having a certain quality, if you want to run those. But then you would have to then compare that to your model and play around. But then you can adjust your slicer to say, okay, only add supports at these conditions. Generally, I trust the Bamboo's native software and its algorithm for detecting that stuff. And it hasn't really steered me wrong. But as Clark said, sometimes you end up getting supports in areas that it mars the finish. And so you want to be careful of that. But
yeah, like with this one per se, you can't really see. I mean, looking at this part, you can't really see where the supports were. But let me go grab you one that I actually have one that I have not taken the supports off of yet. So let me show it to you. So this was the last one that I printed right before the live. And so the supports are all connecting under the underside, and they're right up under the edge of this little lip right here. and they're not in any place that it's going to, that little bit of variation is going to cause a major problem. And so what I'll do is when these typically will snap off relatively smooth. So when I pull this one, like they'll just pop out. Now I have to clean these little pieces here off probably, but I got that little bit of a little mess right there. But I've got some little scrapers and files that I'll touch that up with just to try to knock those burrs off of it. And because it's kind of in that little recess right there, you really don't notice it when you're looking at the part. And so that's what I try to, and the slicer is going to put them where it thinks it needs to, and it might not always be the most cosmetic place, but when possible, I like to try to put them in places of, cosmetic step. And you can also set thresholds. So like right there, that text only sticks out 0.5 millimeter on that. And so I've got it to where it doesn't support that because I know this machine can handle that little bit of overhang without any issues, especially the way that I extruded it in Fusion. It's not like a real sharp edge. So a lot of little different things that can, and I'm still learning, guys. I'm learning every day. Because like with this stuff right here, if you orient it one way or the other, you're gonna have twice as many supports. Like there's a lot of variables and things to consider. It's wild. That's why a lot of my corners are rounded to try to avoid, because I think mine's at 30 degrees. So I avoid a lot of the supports and stuff. But I'm still learning, but I'm doing better at it. I've printed like 5 of those without any problem so far. But I do have a trash can full of oopses and prototype blunders. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, we got look there. Another big time YouTube channel in the lobby there. R. Ballard Designs says if you do a lot of multicolor prints, it is the printer to have. Not sure which one he's talking about. But there you go.
Maker. Wesley Wilford is asking, on my 4040 Pro Max, my router bit goes up when it's supposed to go down and vice versa. Any suggestions to fix? Well, 2 things. First off, double check that all your wiring is actually snug. Sometimes if there's a wire loose on one of the connections, it can feed the phases wrong, and it tends to be more erratic when it does that, but it's always something that if you're getting kind of opposite function, I would double check wiring. But if it's consistently doing that, you may want to check the GRBL settings. $3 should be for the Z axis. And you'll have to check. It's might be set to like 1 or 0 and maybe needs to be 4. Probably need to double check the documentation on that. But that would be the one to kind of invert that control. So, but it would be odd. I mean, I don't know. I would see what it is and maybe check with others what theirs is set at, because it would be odd for it to be one off. But I wouldn't. Sometimes things get wired weird on a Friday. So if a wire's reversed, then that could require that to be needing to be inversed as well. But
Radu saying with those supports look like you printed it standing up. Doesn't that print the grain to be weaker? Well, this is not like a shelf or a pedestal. All the pressures that's on this are compression. Like it's just pressure pushing down. So it doesn't have to be terribly, terribly strong, but the shapes and the turns and the twists of this, it's plenty for what it's doing. Now, if I was trying to use this to pry a door open, yes, it would break across there. But all of the pressure on this are going to be compression. It's not like being twisted. But you'd be surprised at how much pressure it does take, because when you're prototyping stuff out, you tend to have a lot of them. Like this is some versions that I made previous, but there's actually, it takes a good bit of pressure to actually break that. So, but you can see it's it held on really good. So yeah, you're not going to be prying your doors open on your car with it, but for what it does, it's plenty. But if you print it laying flat like this, you're going to have supports all of these indentations right here. Here's another one. All of this is going to have supports. If you print it like this, all of this is going to have supports, and you're going to have supports on your surface of the object. So that's why the first few I did this way. I tried a few of them at an angle. I tried them all different directions, and I got the best results printing them standing by adding a flat edge to one end of it so that I could have it stand on its own edge. So yeah, I mean, there's 100 ways you could do it, but I think after version 10, this is what I decided to go with. So yeah, it's like I said, it depends. It's like I said, what the way I do it might not be the way you want to do it, but at the end of the day, you know, I designed it, made it, put it together to try to create as much strength as possible. One of the things that I do is I've tried to start using rounded corners instead of sharp corners, because it seems to eliminate that as like being a weak point, because it somehow or another it is definitely helping with the stresses. But like the weak point on this one is technically that seam right there, which I could not round over because that's where it snaps into the machine. I didn't want to make it any thicker, but I did round this one. So that's why if you put pressure on it, it's going to pop right there. But this is literally you set things on it. It's not a crowbar. So yeah. Cars wouldn't bend as easy if you made them out of ceramic either, but they'd shatter. I don't know where the other piece of it went. I got a piece of plastic right here somewhere.
Seth Rosenberg's asking, with all the equipment you have, how many licenses of Lightburn do each of you have or use? Well, the Lightburn's limitation is on the number of computers it's installed on. So you can have multiple machines, and as long as you have the right, if you just have G-code based ones, you can have the core. Otherwise, you have the Pro license for fibers and whatnot. You can run as many machines as that computer will run processes for copies of Lightburn or instances of Lightburn. That being said, I do have 2 licenses of Lightburn, only because I have the one I originally bought years ago and I've kept up to date. But when Omtech sent out the one of their lasers, it included a copy of Lightburn as well. And since I have my shop out here and I have my office in the house, and then I also have my basement workshop area. That's three locations. And if I want to have it on a laptop now, I got to have a 4th one anyway. So I actually keep both of them up to date, just out of convenience, but I could easily probably operate with just one.
Yeah. I've got 2 that I licenses, but one's my Pro and I use it mostly. And the only reason I had to have 2 is because I went 1 computer over. And so I have this computer here has Lightburn on it. The one over there by the CNC, because I use it for testing and stuff sometimes, has Lightburn on it. My laptop has it, and then the one in the house has it. And so I have 4. And typically speaking, Lightburn will let you put 3. I think it's 3 is what they advertise on your license. But I'm kind of like you, though. I did get a license with a machine at one point, and it's just a standard license, and so that's the one that I use like over there. I don't think that one, if I'm not mistaken, I think that one's my standard license, and the Pro license is on the other one. No, the one in the house is a standard license. And reason being is because I only use it to design. I don't use it to actually run a laser. That's right. These 3 are using my Pro license. The laptop, this one and that one over there use my Pro, and the one in the house uses my standard, because all I do in it is just design files. And so I don't really care if it works with Galvos or CO2s. I just need it to create a file for a work area of X dimensions. So, because like if you like say for instance, if you have a thunder laser that's, you know, say it's 900 by 600 or whatever, you can just go in there and create a generic machine, GRBL 900 by 600, and you'll have that same exact work area. You just can't run that machine with Lightburn, but you can design the file and have all the same tools. So,
I mean, you can design outside the working area too.
yeah, but if you like nesting things and making them to where they fit and you open it, it automatically fits the work area. It works better because I, in the past, I have designed in the house on a 40
tool layer.
I just prefer to set my machine up with like my Mimic. You know, I've just got a Mimic machine. If I select, and it does not even necessarily the ASMR X1. It might not even be it, but if I name it that, it's the same size work area. So if I'm designing for my 40, then I just let it go. So because I can do that step one time and never have to build a frame layer every time. So that's, like I said, it's different strokes for different folks, but that's the way I like to do it, because I'll just have little Mimic work areas built. This thing's taking forever using this this support material stuff. It's doing so much purging. Look at that purge tower. The purge tower is bigger than the lens cover, but I wanted to try it and see how it works. D Wolf. No, I haven't gone completely plastic, but I use all the tools. I love the 3D printers because you can make shapes and stuff that I can't do with other machines. It has been a very valuable tool. Like I like having all the tools, and I like being able to create solutions to problems. That's the fun part for me. All right, Greg's saying when saving a file from Bamboo Studio, it has a symbol. Can you change it from an image of your design instead of just text? What? Instead of just text. When saving a file from Bamboo Studio. I'm not sure I'm following on that one.
I don't know if you're talking about the thumbnail, the file explorer icon, or what. Remember, some of them will allow it. Like if you save as an STL, I think there's an extension that you can put in Windows that will give you a preview of the file. But I don't know about when you save it as a Bamboo file. I don't know that there's anything to do that.
Not sure. I'm not sure I'm following. Apparently Fluffy's doing laps. She's over there eating right now. I hear her crunching. She went to eat. Yeah, I'm not sure, Greg. Oh, I'll have to look into that. As far as he's saying, yeah, like a photo. So I'm not sure. Yeah, Dark Forest says, I love my CNCs and lasers, but I actually made something today that allowed my brother who had a stroke to fish again. He's been messing with it in the yard for the last 2 hours. Yeah, and that's what I like about these machines. I mean, literally, if you've come up with a problem with enough of the machines, you can generally get a solution, or at least parts of a solution. Now the A1's not finished. It's changing filament like 100 times, finishing this last little section because it's putting supports in the top, and I'm using a support material as a secondary roll just to see how easy the supports come out of it, and it is taking a while. So yeah, it isn't quite done yet.
So going back to Greg's question, it does look like there's a couple different ways you can possibly do it. You might need to configure Windows File Explorer to enable thumbnail support. And then I think there's an option in Bamboo Studio to fix missing thumbnails. And then there's the Windows 3D viewer for STL3MF. And that's a free app you install, 3D viewer app from the Microsoft Store that should pick up if it's an STL or a 3MF file. So if you go to Google and say change Bamboo file icon to model preview, it'll give you some options to try that out. It's not something I've done. It's just something I was looking up for you. So.
So it'll actually show like a little mini model instead of a.
Yeah, since they're kind of known 3D formats, the file icon the thumbnail file icon should kind of preview the actual model.
I don't think mine doesn't do that. I don't think. Let me go look. View large icon. No, mine just shows the Fusion icon. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, okay. So I'm not sure if this is what we're asking about. Let me see if I can share my screen. It took a second, but all right. So this is my where I put my files that I've made, and like some of them I can actually see like an image of the part. It's not a picture. It's almost like a 3D image. Mm-hmm. Is this what we're talking about doing, or is there something?
I mean, that's my guess. What he was looking for.
And so you want to be able to see like these little, like the icon is actually the part.
Right.
Because see, I don't know what's causing it, because if you look, I've got some that are and some that aren't. So
you sometimes have to resave them to fix it, to re-export it from the.
Okay, that's a 3MF file there. So that one's been saved as a 3MF. And let's see what this one is. I bet those are STL. Okay, so the STLs are not showing up the icon, but the 3MFs are is what it looks like to me.
You might need to add the 3D viewer app for that.
Yeah. But so I don't know. Like this is like that's a Fusion export 3MF file, I think. Yeah, it's a F3D file. So some of them it is showing it, but some of them is not. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't even know it did that. Never paid attention to it. Yeah. See. Yeah. Cool. Y'all taught me something. I'd never paid attention to the fact that it did that. Because I look at all mine usually through Fusion or Bamboo Labs or one of my softwares.
Radu is asking, I have a design that I've tested and printed and I'm using that I would like to sell. Any thoughts on protecting it from thieves, etc.? Are there better places to sell instead of Etsy? I will tell you that there's no surefire 100% way for that to happen. I mean, even if you don't sell the files, but just the physical items, an enterprising person can take those items and then reverse engineer it. It just really depends on how easy or hard you make that. By not putting like direct top-down previews of the parts helps. But you know, I had my model airplane stand files that I've showed in the past that I sold a bunch of them. That funded a lot of my shop. Someone did go back and trace and put those files for 3D printing out, I think on Thingiverse. And I even tried to contact Thingiverse and say, hey, these were my files. This is my design. It's not, and they didn't do anything about it. So definitely do your best to protect the files. Don't make it easy for them to copy, but an enterprising person can and will copy them. I even had I had someone buy my laser enclosure plans and I think, tried to strip my logo from the pages.
Yeah, I remember that.
I should have done a better job of making sure the logos were over the more of the actual image, and then put it out on some random site that was based in somewhere in South America, I think, and was offering it for sale. Legit just took the PDF and slightly modified it.
Yeah, I remember you sent me a link to their sales site, and it was like all your pictures, all your stuff. I think they cropped a few of the pictures. That was it.
Yeah, they were just doing the best to remove my logo from it. And so any of your documentation, just think about that. Make it difficult for them to remove your original, like put your logo in the middle of the graphic somehow. That doesn't disrupt the effect of the graphic or the photo. That it's harder for them to steal that. They'd have to like recreate it or cut that part out. But it's a risk you take putting stuff out there. Now, if you're not going to put, selling digital files, you're definitely kind of just trusting people, because there ain't none of us are going to copyright a file that's going to make us
you can't afford
$100 at best.
Yeah, you can't afford to, because people ask me all the time, why don't you patent that? I'm like, have you ever priced a patent? Like, I mean, do you know how much profit I would have to make to even break even on a patent? Like, it'll probably never happen. But yeah, like you said, if you do release like drawings of whatever, especially if it's a laser file, put some text in the middle of the design so that they can't just like screen capture, trace, and recreate it. Throw some text, throw some things at them, because it can be got. And like you said, somebody that knows how to design and knows how to work software can just about look at a physical object and design it in just a few minutes if they have the right measurements. So it's a thing. That's why a lot of times there's some things that I make that I choose not to release the digital file, because I have got several of my files that I've put on Etsy for sale that have showed up on Thingiverse or other places being given away. And I'm like, somebody had to have bought it and then turned around and uploaded it, or either they bought it, gave it to a friend, and the friend uploaded it. But I mean, so it's just part of it. You never know.
I'm trying to see if that file's still out there.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing that as I don't sell. Oh, there it is.
Did you find it? Is it still being sold?
Well, I don't know about that one. But here, this. Of course, the photos are very small. This airplane stand I had designed for Baltic birch plywood, and cut out on a CNC router, and offered the kits and the fully assembled stands for sale. And someone reverse engineered it and then offered the files out on Thingiverse.
3D printable, I'm guessing.
Yeah. See, and they even linked, this is a replica of the stand that you can buy from this site, which no longer exists. I've shut that down. I'm like,
yeah, there's your foam flat place.
Like, really?
It's a replica. At least you got an honorable mention.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I got some sales from people going, yeah, I'll just buy the wooden one. But it's
oh,
see over there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, it happens. Now I have started, and to be honest with you, this is one of those things that it only works with the most amateur of thieves. But like in this design, if I do release it, I did integrate my website into it. But anybody that, like, you could literally take this with Meshy and fix that if you wanted to. But it's make it harder, not impossible. Just make it harder to bootleg. And of course, this one's got the Bigfoot logo on there in orange. I wanted to do this one in orange so bad, but I could not find a way to get it to print that way without extending the print time just astronomically. So, Everybody talks because Santa's saying that somebody said something about, I think it was Santa, that Etsy, like everybody was talking about Etsy was a race to the bottom or whatever. And I mean, I guess to an extent, I mean, I guess you could say that, but here's the thing. I mean, if you make $100 on Etsy or $20 somewhere else, which one's the race to the bottom? I mean, so it depends. I wouldn't say it's a race to the bottom for everybody. Now, there's some things that it's harder to make a profit because some of the prices have been driven down. It's like with woodworking stuff or whatever. I think you'd probably be better off selling locally at like flea markets and stuff like that, where they do like antique shops and so forth. But there are some things that if you have zero customers, even customers that maybe aren't paying top dollar, if you can make a little bit of money, it's better than making none. So, I mean, you just got to do your research and figure out what works for you. Marketing is the biggest part. And if you have to pay Etsy for marketing, which I don't, it gets expensive. But, the reason I don't pay for marketing is because I do my own marketing, and not everybody has that capability. So that is something to consider too.
Well, the thing is, you gotta offer something different, because if you're doing the same thing everybody else is, then yes, it is going to be a race to the bottom, and you're going to find it's not worth it because you're spending more time and cost of materials than the end profit is. And that's true of really anything. I mean, it's true of going to a local craft market or a farmer's market or whatever. If you're putting out the same thing everybody else is doing, then you're all going to be like, oh, well, I can do it for $2 less, and pretty soon no one's making money on it. And so, that's the thing. There was the question out there of, are the UV printers profitable? Yes, if you have a market, people that will buy from you, but something that's unique that they can't get elsewhere. Because otherwise they can, everybody's going to come and say, well, can you do this maybe a little bit cheaper than that? Like, well, no, because I'm busy doing other things.
Yeah.
It's putting your creative spin on whatever you're doing is going to be the best thing to help you not get in that race to the bottom. So.
Yeah, everybody's scenario is different. And that's one thing that gets me a lot of times, because, what works for Steve might not work for me, where he is, his area, his customers, his customer base, how much other work he has. I mean, there's so many things to be considered. There is no, contrary to what anybody tells you, there is no magic number, no one way of doing business. It varies heavily from area to area, business to business. Like, I mean, it's just, there's too many variables for anybody to tell you that they could do X, Y, Z in your situation without knowing your situation. I mean, I'm sorry. You can't. Because I have people offer to like pay me. Like, they're like, hey, I'll pay you like X number of money for the next 6 months to help me get my business going and get it profitable. And I'll tell them, I can't guarantee you that it's going to be profitable, because I can tell you everything that works for me and it may not work for you. It's not that cut and dried. And I'm just too honest that I can't take your money and tell you, yeah, I'm going to make your business profitable. I just can't do that. That is wrong.
I mean, there's a lot of things that Clack does that just don't work for me because of his community is different. My community is saturated with people doing this exact thing. There are people out there with lasers and printers and everything else. And I go to these, I mean, there's even a mercantile in the mall that supports makers that I go there and I look, I'm like, yeah, that's great. You already have a bunch of people doing the things I do. And so why would I jump in that to try to compete with the same thing? It's just, my market is different up here, and there's more people offering this type of stuff that it's not as easy to stand out or get noticed and build that retail base. And that's why I've focused more on some of the businesses and such, to try to do things. It's also just, I'm not trying to make this my full-time gig. I don't want to be that busy with it. And so I don't, retail sales takes more time to fulfill everything, deliveries and customer relations and all that, than lower volume of work with some retail or with some commercial customers. So
that's crazy. Yeah, my biggest competition in my area, within, let's see, 35 miles, 40 miles, maybe even further. But I know for a fact within 40 miles, my biggest competition is my buddy Tim over at CNC Trophy, who sends me 3 to 4 jobs a week because he's like, "Hey, I'm not set up to do this job. Can you do this?" And the way that it is I do basically like a 66-33 split with him. If I charge $15, I get 10, he gets 5, and so that way he's still making money for deferring jobs to me that he can't do. And as he does things that he normally can't do, word's going to spread that take it to Tim and he can do it. Yeah, it's kind of messing me out of that third, of the money. But at the same time, if he's bringing me jobs that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, that's a win for me. Plus, he's doing all the interaction with the customers. He's doing the job. He's taking the product in, or either he's ordering the blanks or whatever. All I'm doing is taking them, doing a service for Tim, and sending it back to him. And so I'm not having to pay tax on that as far as sales tax goes, because I'm not doing a sale. I'm doing a service. He sends me the blank, I engrave it, send it back to him. So it works out well for me because, and it helps his business too, because he's now known for the guy that don't turn stuff away as often, because he has no fiber lasers. He has no blue lasers. He has no UV printer. He has no 3D printer. Like he has a CO2 laser and 2 really big vinyl machines and printers that can print like all kinds of different things. But he doesn't have the tools that I have. But now he's able to make money off of jobs that he's not even having to do the work for. And I'm getting another source of referrals. So it's a win-win for both of us. And like I said, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, you got time to do this before the weekend?" Because especially rush jobs, I'm like, as long as you price it appropriately, I do. And so, we work together. And he, like I said, he's my biggest competition. But at the same note, the other day I was doing these baseball tags that I showed you guys. I did these, and then a picture got out of them on purpose. And just as I did these and the picture got out, I had another team reach out to me. That's a softball team. It says, "Hey, we want that same project, but we want it yellow instead of white on the acrylic." And I'm like, where in the heck at last minute am I going to find 1/4 inch yellow acrylic? Well, it's about 15 years old, but my buddy Tim came through for me. Now, albeit I had to take a heat gun to get the paper off of it because it had been sitting up so long it wouldn't peel. But my buddy Tim just so happened to have a sheet of 1/4 inch yellow acrylic in his shop that, I could get off of.
Perimeter alert, delivery box.
Okay, so we're leaving now. But I did have a plan B though. I did design some blanks and do some creative color change filament stuff to it. So yeah. So I had plan B, but when my buddy Tim's like, "Hey, I found a small piece. How big a piece you need?" I was like, enough to make, I think it was 13 of these. And so let me show you what I got.
yeah, Mark, I think that it originally was clear. It just turned yellow after 15 years.
This is what I ended up with. No, this freaking peeling, like this stuff, like it won't come off. It comes off in like little tiny pieces.
Yeah,
and
there's some brands. I mean, even newer, some brands, random brands, you'll find that it's just the worst.
Like I was trying to get it off, and I'm sitting here with my fingernail, and I'm like, okay, this is just crazy because I couldn't get it to start, and so it hit me. I'm like, I wonder what happened if I heat it up. So I went and got my heat gun and heated the surface, and it peeled. It actually peeled off good then. But yeah, but that's 1/4 inch yellow acrylic, and I was like, what is the chances? Now I have some coming now, so I can have some next time. But yeah, like that's why it's good to be friends with your competition, which he's technically not my competition.
Isaiah's got a good comment. We've kind of mentioned that in the past, is that, if you're going to do more than hobby work, don't buy the machine and then look for business opportunities. Make sure it's something that can actually fill a business need. And I see this all the time where I see a variation of that in where people will buy a machine and then they'll complain to the manufacturer about how it doesn't do something, but it's making them lose money because now they have an order they can't fulfill. And I'm like, how do you take the order when you don't know you can do it? I mean, even if it's a tried and true machine, but you've never used it before, I would never price out or accept an order to do something that I wasn't sure I could do. And then I could understand that the pricing of it. I mean, if I've never run that job on a machine, I mean, it's the classic thing. Hey, I have this random tumbler. What are the settings? I only have one.
Good luck.
Good luck. You don't know what you're going to end up with. You don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how you price the thing. So yeah, if you're doing it for business, I mean, I get it for the hobby people. They're like, hey, I normally just do this as a hobby and someone asked me to do something. Can someone help me out? But the people who complain about losing money because they can't get this order in and they're going to lose the order. I'm like, if you don't have the machine in hand and you've tested it on that process, you should not be taking that order. You should not be committing to that work. So.
Okay. Scratch that stuff. It does not work any better with the support material.
Yeah. Santa, companies do sell them as like a plug and play machine. And, and they also overhype, I should be careful. They will state the extreme, precise, ideal circumstances as, oh yeah, this can cut, 30 millimeter thickness items. Well, in reality, it's only very specific material under certain conditions will it do that. And it might be so slow that it's ridiculously impossible to get a job done. And so that's where in most of my reviews, when I'm testing equipment, I look at what it can do with the things I expect it to do in my shop, and if it's cutting a certain thickness material, and I've done it before. I mean, I've done the 3/4 inch cutout signs, but this is just clear aspen. It's kind of the ideal material, but I think this took 2 or 3 passes, and this sign took probably 15 minutes to cut out on the laser, and you're probably not going to be making much profit off of that. So
yeah,
having some realistic expectations for what the machine can do and what you'll be able to do with them in a shop is something I try to relay in my videos.
All right.
How's that working for you?
It was in there, buddy. I was trying to dig the support out of the bottom. All right. So
Grab yourself.
Okay. I will say, even though it did increase the time of the print tremendously, look at that. I just popped the supports open and look at that. Look at that finish. I'm impressed with that part. Now, it didn't make it any easier to get loose, but I'm pretty impressed with the smoothness of this one. And look at this. This is the bottom of the supports. So this is using their support for PLA, PETG stuff from Bamboo. Now, I will say, this is kind of like that, like you were just talking about. There should be like a warning label on this stuff that says, if you have a multi-tool head machine capable of swapping from one filament to the other without purging, this stuff is great. And it did what it was supposed to do. But I will say this: it ain't made it no faster than like, it's faster to do it the other way. But I will say it's a lot less frustrating dealing with popping that loose than it is with the other ones. Let me show you one of This is the ones I've been printing with just regular, like that's with just supports made from PETG. That's with the support material.
Have you thought about making that a 2-piece item?
Then I gotta glue it.
But you know, it'd probably save you a lot of time on printing.
Yeah. I don't know.
You just have a pocket in one and the plug that's the base, and then you probably wouldn't even see it.
I've even thought about taking the lens cap and putting like holes in here to where it wasn't actually a complete pocket. But then I'm like, okay, it's a lens cover to keep dust off of a lens. Why would I even think putting holes in it is a good idea? I'm an idiot. But yeah, no, I just playing around. Like I said, I bought this support material and I've never used it. And so I was like, this is be one time that I might actually want to use it because see, that's just kind of, I mean, it worked, but that's kind of rough looking compared to that. I mean, that does make it look a lot better, but it's slow, very slow. So we'll see.
Yeah,
if I start printing too many of them, I may go to a 2-piece design.
I just think from the filament saved, and you could have it pocket in so that it closes it up, and then the bottom piece would slide all the way in. You wouldn't even see it from the, if you did it right. But
yeah. Like I said, not really. Oh, by the way, I did find that our Hobby Lobby is now selling 3D printing stuff. And I found a new tool that I didn't know I needed, which is this guy.
the deburring tool.
Yeah, I didn't know I needed this until I got it. And now I don't know how I lived without it. It's like, this thing is awesome for like this little bit of touch up right here. Like I can just like run it around through there and voila. So I never knew I needed it until I got it. Mark said two-piece part threaded. Oh, I don't know. Threads are my nemesis. Maybe one day. Turned out.
You know, Ryan says just put the keychain on the side.
I mean, you're not wrong if I put that on the side, but us people with OCD cannot put like this on, like, yeah, that would mess with my head. That hinders me sometimes, Ryan. Like it's got to be there and it's got to be in the middle. It can't be off to the side. It can't be, it's got to be in the middle. But yeah. But yeah, I found this, and they also had some little mini files, which was another thing that I actually did know I needed, but I just hadn't found any other than ordering them online. But so I went ahead and blessed them with my tax dollars and got me a little set of mini files, the different rat tail files, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. I was going to buy some filament from them, but they only had PLA except for one box of black TPU. And I've already got that. So I was like, I don't need anything that they have, so I'm not going to buy it. Yeah, see, Ryan knows I'm OCD. That's why he made that statement.
Huh.
And y'all know Steve's going to come up with some way to use glue. I mean, have you ever seen him do a video where he can glue something together? Well, he has a glue problem. You can go back and look, see how much glue is in his video.
So now I haven't used this, so I have no idea how it works. But Soval has a 2-spool dryer with touchscreen, and it's on sale right now for $59.
That's not bad for a dryer, no?
Yeah, it's a pretty good price. So
I'm assuming it's got the time function and everything.
yeah, you can set the drying time, PLA 4 to 8 hours. You can go 8 to 12 hours on others. Drying temps from, well, I guess you can go up to 98 hours if you want, anywhere from 40 to 70 degrees centigrade. So
okay, y'all Dang it. Y'all did it. Y'all messed my head up. So if I start printing a bunch of these, I just as I was putting this on here, I just realized how I could design this to be a 2-part and save a lot of time. Let me show you. So this part right here, this tab, instead of this part being attached to this part, I could literally just leave a keyhole, leave a hole in the lid right here in the middle. Just leave that hole right there. Flip it upside down, print it like this. And then I could take this part and make it flat, like to where the loop would sit down in this hole. And when you put this on here with a little couple of dabs of glue in between the two pieces and pull them together,
that's what I was trying to tell you to do.
That would work. Oh, so I thought you was wanting me to do like the rim and then glue this piece to that piece.
No, just make a pocket that can come through, but that it has on the back side the full.
I could do that if I start printing a bunch of them. That I could deal with. I can't deal with putting it on the side. Sorry, Ryan. But yeah, that would make it much faster, no doubt. I thought I was through designing for the week. I'm gonna have to revise that and try it. That won't take but literally take just a second though. Oh.
I don't need another filament dryer, but that's tempting. I've got the Sunlu on the P1S, and then I got the dual one. I mean, I guess it would be nice for the A1 with the multi-filament. I could get 4 spools dried if I needed, but
yeah. So now I'm gonna have to redo my designs on these because I got a bunch of these I designed. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that. Probably because I was only printing like 1 or 2, and it wasn't that big of a deal until you start printing a bunch of them. And like I said, if I don't print a bunch of them, I might not. But I may have to revisit that. Because I can reuse the insert part. Do what?
Anytime I can avoid supports, I do.
Oh, yeah. It's always better. And if I really wanted to make it fancy, I could make this top part have like a plus sign for structural integrity, so it'd be a little stronger. It could be like a cross, and I could just pop it right through there. Yeah. We'll play around with that. I might do a live redesign video or something in Fusion. Everybody's always asking me about Fusion.
Toad 419 says they have that dryer and works well for me. Good to know. I'm gonna add it to my list and maybe if I get a chance to try it out, it'd be something I can recommend too. But because the other one, the Creality one, is nice, but it's like been $80-ish or something like that. So
yeah,
always nice to save a few bucks. I mean, it's a heater, and it needs to be somewhat sealed.
Yeah, but I will say the support material actually did benefit the finish. So note to self on that. But yeah, y'all got me redesigning my darn lens covers now. Which I can redo that one part and reuse it with all of them.
Rob Fight's asking, I got the Laser Petcar LP5. Which of the lasers would be best for engraving? So that's the blue diode and the fiber. I would use the blue diode. You're going to have to paint the glass. The fiber technically could work, but it's most likely going to not work until it shatters the glass. I did some playing around with seeing if I could get successful settings on a 20-watt fiber laser, engraving glass, trying different binders like tempera paint. And I quickly stopped when I started having it get so hot that it was just shattering the glass on it. So it kind of goes
unassembly.
What's that?
Spontaneous unassembly.
Yeah, it was a little dangerous. So I would use the blue diode on that one.
I concur. I have tried UVs on glass, and it is not your friend.
Oh, not UV, but fiber.
I mean, the fiber. I mean,
yeah, UV would be perfect.
Yeah, UV, that'd be great. That's what I was reading Rob's comment, and it just came out of my mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, UV is the best thing for glass, but now there's a caveat. I'll tell you this: if your glass is not flat, like if it's let's say it's one of those dishes or something where it has like texture to it, so that there's like wavy texture that varies like 1 to 2 millimeters in the texture. That's a situation to where you may want to lean more towards either a CO2 if you have it, or a blue diode, because UVs, however, they do great on glass. If they're focused properly, they're really particular about focus. Like if you don't get it focused, you're going from really good results to nothing just within a millimeter or two of focus. So that's the one warning I will give you. If it's something that's not, now, if your machine is in, X-Tool UV that has the contour mapping, you can get away with uneven surfaces better than you can if you're using an Omni 1 or something like that that does not have contour mapping. But I use my UVs for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, I moved the Omni X down to the basement shop because I had a space there that I could set it up. They sent me a new copy of the software and a new config file, I think, for the 250 millimeter lens. But I told them, I said, okay, I will get to it. It just won't be right now. So I'm trying to get that set up to see if that will finally get that thing working consistently. So, because that would be nice to have that machine actually calibrated and not kind of engrave and guess the size it comes out.
Well, my mason jars were a victim of cleaning the other day. I forgot about that. Yes, I have engraved mason jars with several different lasers. I haven't really played with mason jars since I got into the UVs, though. That might be something I need to revisit. But yeah, they do engrave. However, defocusing is advised with them. And I'm not sure if it's because of the type glass they use or what, but if you get too aggressive with mason jars, they'll like spontaneously deassemble themselves quickly. So I don't know if it's the type glass because they're heat resistant. I don't know what there's something about them. They're not as bad as wine glasses, but they will disassemble rapidly in the laser.
I don't know if I have tried that. There are some generic Mason-like jars at Dollar Tree that have like they're like they have the mug handle on. I want to say I have some. I think I even have one or two. I was batch prepping a bunch of stuff with my airbrush one day, and I think I sprayed down a couple, but I don't know that I got around to testing them. Yeah, those are the typical, the canning jars and such.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of them. We use them to put pickles in. I don't know what I used this one for, but I think I was using this one like to store something.
I've used them sometimes for put a little paint thinner or something in there to kind of clean apart. You just drop it in there and let it sit for a while. You want to make sure you label that one.
Yeah, no, that's not
for consumption.
Now, I will tell you this. I got to thinking the other day, what's a video, and it may be out there. I'm not going to swear that it's not. The internet's a big thing, and I didn't really like search and look. But what's the one thing that I haven't really seen a lot of in the laser realm? And I was walking through Hobby Lobby, doing my, hey, what can I mark? And I run across this brown glass. And I was like, haven't seen a lot of this. I mean, so this is not your typical like clear glass. So I'm kind of curious, will the UV make it like, will the engraved be brown or will the engraved be like a gray and contrast really well? So I'm curious. I got two of them because Brandy says she wants me to engrave one for her. So one's going to be play with it and figure the settings out, and the other one is going to be the project for her. And I got these for like $6.49 at the Hobby Lobby.
So here's the challenge for you. Go start hitting up your thrift stores and whatnot. Try to find yourself some uranium glass.
My friends Missy and them over at Rustic Relics, they have a whole like display of the stuff.
You want to see people pissed off. You laser engrave that stuff.
Yeah, he collects it or something and sells it there.
Oh yeah, no, they pay a lot of money for it. I'm telling you, I'm like you would laser engrave that, and you will get you'll probably have the most dislikes possible on the video.
Really?
But you're gonna deface something that they find valuable.
Because he has I want to see if he had a picture of it. Dude, he's got like a shelf that is just full of it. Where's it at? 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 Oh yeah, here's one of his little shorts he did. He's done some YouTube videos, but like this is him showing people how to figure out whether it's uranium glass or not or whatever.
A UV light or a Geiger counter.
Yeah. So, but he's got got a bunch of that stuff at the shop. I wonder how expensive it is. I bet that video would get some chatter, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't think they've made it since like I don't know, what was it? It was the early 1900s. I don't know that they made it past World War II, if not earlier. I don't remember.
Yeah, see, there's Rodney and some of his stuff, but they have the like the little they have it's like a booth shop. Like they have like I could go get a booth shop and set up and sell my stuff up there if I wanted to. My friends over at Cog Hill, they have a booth there where they sell their stuff. But Rodney's he's got a bunch of that stuff. When you walk into their shop, their store up there, he's got like down a hallway at the end of the hall, he's got them sitting everywhere, and he's got black lights above them, like mounted into the shelves or whatever. And so all of them are like glowing at you. It's wild. So, but yeah, that's the only reason I even knew what you were saying when you said uranium glass. That's how I knew what you was talking about from Rodney and them. But yeah, I'm kind of curious how the brown's going to go. I don't know how it's going to engrave or if it's going to fracture or what, but I plan to try it out and see. Which weirdly enough, the bottom doesn't appear to be brown glass. Like it's almost like it's coated on the inside or something. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, we're 7 minutes over. So if anybody has any last minute questions, now's the time.
Yeah, I got some Steve size bottle openers. It's a big one. I got some of those. I need to do a CNC job on them.
I made these on the CNC.
I know. I saw the video. I've got the inserts. I just haven't used them.
They double as a personal protective equipment.
Yeah, I've got the inserts. I just haven't used them yet. All right. Anything else? Any last questions, comments, concerns? Anybody want to poke fun at Steve about his glue fetish or anything like that? Just let us know. Drop that comment in there. So, what you gonna be working on this week? Anything, or you got a report for duty?
Well, it is. So, speaking of seasons, it's graduation season. So, end of semester is coming up rapidly. I think this is the last week of the regular semester, and then they got finals following week. We've got our graduation ceremony Thursday after this, but the local university, their graduation is their end of the semester is this week, and so their graduation stuff is this weekend. So a lot of that going on around here this time of year. But primarily, I'm trying to get through the laser pecker testing and review. So hopefully by the end of the week, I can have that out for viewing. I have a couple projects that I keep kind of working on the side, so we'll see if that happens. I'm also continuing. Again, you can't see it somewhat. Well, you might be able to see a little bit. I've been trying to get rid of stuff because I do need to move some things around in here. So if anyone's in the area and wants a really good deal on a laser, hit me up. I might have one or two,
or 3 or 4.
because I'm trying to move some things around, and of course, it's places asking if we're interested in additional equipment, and I'm trying to clean house before I reclutter it. So, but and then of course the outdoor channel. Spring is here, although just before hopping on here, I got a Facebook update from a local meteorologist saying, "Hey, by the way, freeze warnings this week."
No thanks.
But definitely check out that channel as well. There'll be hopefully some fun content on there that if you want to see more behind the scenes Steve stuff, that's a good place to check out. So,
well, D Wolf, it says this is a long question for next week. This is actually, to me, this would be a pretty simple question. It says next upgrade, fiber or CO2. Mainly do tumblers and wood and acrylic. If those are the three things that you mainly do, your money is going to better suit you with a CO2 than it will a fiber, in my opinion, hands down. I mean, there's no, because a fiber is not going to do great with acrylic. It's going to melt it.
It's not going to do much on the wood.
It will not do wood unless you spray it with like spray paint or some type of finish first, because it doesn't interact with it. And tumblers, you'll just bend a lot of tumblers and overheat them and burn them more than the look that you're going for. So you can do tumblers with the fiber, but it takes practice, because it's a hotter burn.
It's a smaller beam too. So
yes.
Unless you're doing like photo engraving on them,
yeah,
it's going to take longer.
Yeah. So a CO2 would do really good at the acrylics. It's the only way to go when it comes to acrylics, really. Especially if you're cutting. Now, if you're engraving, you can get away with a UV from doing engraving, but for cutting acrylics, CO2 is the way to go. Or the wood, CO2s love wood, and CO2s to me are the best approach for tumblers, by hands down. Now, the one thing that I will caution you on is make sure the CO2 that you're going for, if tumblers is your thing, make sure that the controller has the capability of handling the type of rotary or chuck or whatever you plan to use. There are some out there like the Monport Reno, which is an excellent small CO2 that doesn't afford you ease of operation when it comes to a chuck. I'm not going to say you can't use a chuck, but you're going to need a master's degree in mathematics to calculate the settings
and make sure it's got the depth, because some of the benchtop ones are really shallow, and without, some of them have the base plate that you can remove and such, but then now you're adding kind of risk of extra exposure and smoke and whatnot. So getting a deeper cabinet style one, or one that has an appropriate, like the P2, P2S have the riser base, things like that gives you the depth to work on those, is going to be key with tumblers.
Yeah, but yeah, that's an easy one. A fiber, if you're not doing metals, or if you're doing a lot of plastics, you could do with a fiber. But I'm gonna be honest with you, after having a UV, if I was gonna do a lot of plastics, I'm going with UV. But fibers do work with some plastics. But the CO2 is gonna be the most versatile of the two machines for projects and jobs.
Yep.
And I am still on the hunt for a CO2 that fits the bill for what I want. Not too big, not too small, not too expensive, not too cheap. I'm still looking. I'm crawling Marketplace, hoping to find a good deal on Marketplace. But so far, people on Marketplace are like $1,000 below retail. And I'm like, I just looked at the machine. You've got 2,000 hours on it, and you're $1,000 cheaper than I can have it delivered to my house. So apparently they're not really wanting to sell it. They just listed it. But anyway, yeah. Lots of videos coming up. I'm going to be trying to get something else out with the Eufy this week. And I'm also going to be doing a video on my P2S, which I've logged lots of hours on it so far, and I'm really liking it. I'm a fan of the Bamboo ecosystem, but the P2 has really taken my 3D printing capabilities to the next level. And it's not even one of their top tier machines. So I'm really happy with it. I don't have to have the latest and greatest from a Using support material perspective, I really would have liked probably to have gotten the dual head machine that they just released. This replaces the X1 Carbon. I think that might have been something that I would have liked. But don't worry, it probably won't be long. I'll be adding another machine to the fleet, and I'll add that one. So, because if it keeps going, like this week, I've had both of these machines running pretty much nonstop. So I may be adding another one eventually. And if I do, I'll get the one that has the ability to use a support material in a totally different head and see how that works. So.
Last thing I'll mention is channel members. Check the feed. I've got a couple posts out there, updates, and I'm thinking about doing a members only live stream week after next, sometime in a week plus. So it'll be after next Sunday Night Live.
Yeah.
But check the feed. I know YouTube's sometimes weird about sending things out to people. Want to make sure everybody sees that. So if you're a channel member on my channel, go check my page for those updates.
Yeah. And hello, Mr. Cody, Cadence Manufacturing. Cody, I owe you an apology. I was trying to do something I shouldn't have done last night, and I sacrificed a couple of mini O-flutes to the cause. So I'm gonna be ordering from you, Cody. So look out for that order, because I had a run in with a piece of aluminum checker plate last night, and it started chattering, and it just, things went bad. So I'm gonna be getting some more 1/8-inch O-flutes from you.
Cody's gonna end up buying a boat, and he's gonna call it the SS Clackley.
Hey, you should. I got a video of the one. Well, let's see if I can find it here. What to do with it? Yeah. Make sure I got everything right. Spindle's coming up. Oh, damn it! I was like, what in the heck? Oh, yeah. So I'll be making an order, Cody. So you'll get your $10 back with interest. Don't worry. But I appreciate it. But anyway, guys, until next time, y'all be safe and have a good day. And be careful if you try to cut checker plate aluminum. Just know that it likes to do that with an upcut bit, and it'll break your bit. Just, you've been warned. See you guys.
See you, everyone.